The A300's revolutionary design and European pedigree were one thing, but convincing airlines to place their trust and millions of dollars in this newcomer was quite another. The 1970s aviation market was dominated by the American giants, Boeing with its venerable 747 and McDonnell Douglas with its DC-10 trijet. These were proven aircraft, backed by established networks of support and spare parts. Airbus faced the classic innovator's dilemma. The A300 was more fuel efficient, more spacious for passengers, and potentially cheaper to operate. But airlines are notoriously cautious, especially when the consequences of equipment failure are so severe. Airbus was a gamble, an untested entity up against industry titans. The first few years were lean. The order book was bolstered primarily by European airlines, partly due to government pressure. Breaking into lucrative markets like those in the United States proved an uphill battle. Airbus became adept at the art of the lease, offering tempting short-term deals to let hesitant airlines try the A300 in action. Strauss wasn't afraid to leverage his political influence to secure early orders for Airbus planes, especially from the state-owned German airline Lufthansa. This was a controversial tactic, but demonstrates his relentless drive to get Airbus off the ground. The marketing push painted the A300 as the embodiment of the future. It was pitched to airlines as a technological leap forward, a way to attract passengers with its wider seats and quieter cabin. Yet Airbus was still a fledgling company compared to the Americans. The infrastructure and the global support system simply didn't match what customers were used to. It would take time and demonstrable success to break down these barriers of doubt. In the meantime, Airbus wasn't content to rest on its laurels. Even as the A300 slowly gained traction, the company was restless to innovate. The goal was to build a family of aircraft to fill every niche in the market, and to continually break new technological ground in the process. The A310 was a shortened derivative of the A300. It arrived in the early 1980s. This airplane offered airlines the same advanced technology, but in a smaller package, optimized for medium to long-range routes. This strategic move opened new markets, proving Airbus could cater to diverse needs. But perhaps even more revolutionary was Airbus's bold embrace of fly-by-wire technology with the A320 program. In traditional aircrafts, pilot commands are transmitted to control surfaces through a complex system of hydraulics and cables. FBW replaces this with electronic signals. This results in lighter aircraft and potentially safer flight operations. It was a risky leap, particularly in a safety-obsessed industry. When the A320 entered service with Air France in 1988, it was the first commercial airliner with fly-by-wire controls. Some pilots were initially hesitant about this new technology, but the A320 proved the system was both safe and enhanced flight efficiency. This plane would not only redefine aviation, it would redefine Airbus itself. For decades, U.S. aerospace giant Boeing had enjoyed near dominance of the market for large civilian aircraft. That began to change with the rise of Airbus. The A340 earned its stripes by conducting some of the longest non-stop commercial flights at a time. A Singapore Airlines A340 flew an astonishing 15,344 kilometers from Singapore to Newark, demonstrating its long-haul capabilities. What was once a comfortable status quo transformed into a relentless struggle for both technological innovation and market share. With Airbus proving its mettle via the A310 and A300, Boeing was forced to react. The 757 and 767 were direct responses to the European challenge. The aviation world, once so predictable, suddenly became a whirlwind of back-and-forth one-upmanship. Airbus's introduction of fly-by-wire in the A320 forced Boeing to rethink its approach, and eventually develop a rival system for its own upgraded jets. This race wasn't just happening in design studios. Through shrewd marketing and aggressive sales campaigns, Airbus began chipping away at Boeing's traditional strongholds. Carriers long seen as loyal Boeing customers started experimenting with the European upstart. Air travel was the true beneficiary of this rivalry. Airlines had more choices, and this spurred a relentless drive to offer passengers safer, more comfortable, and more technologically advanced aircraft. The Airbus-Boeing rivalry didn't simply change the industry landscape, it fueled decades of extraordinary progress that pushed the limits of what was possible in commercial aviation. By the early 2000s, Airbus had established itself as a true titan. It finally stood toe-to-toe with Boeing, but its ambitions weren't sated. The company embarked on its most audacious project yet, the A380. This double-decker behemoth promised to ferry over 500 passengers in unparalleled comfort, and in the process, transform the economics of long-haul travel. The A380 represented a fundamental belief in the future of the hub-and-spoke model of air travel. Airbus predicted that air traffic would continue to surge, and that existing airports and routes would soon be crowded. Massive airliners like the A380 ferrying vast loads of passengers through major hubs were seen as the answer. Developing the Super Jumbo was a staggering undertaking. Airbus pushed aeronautical design to its limits yet again. Advanced materials were required to keep the weight in check. Systems of such complexity demanded an entire rethinking of how an aircraft was wired and powered. The A380 was conceived as the pinnacle of air travel, yet the very concept was a gamble of unprecedented scale. The development costs skyrocketed. Each A380 was effectively a custom-built masterpiece that pushed production facilities to their outer limits. The project was fraught with delays, with complex wiring problems plaguing the early stages. Lurking beneath the technological audacity was a more fundamental question: was the market truly changing? Some analysts